Welcome back to my channel Celebuzz. Please share and subscribe and press the bell icon for new updates. Cesar Milan, who was formerly famous as the so-called dog whisperer, shocked everyone inside the courtroom when he suddenly passed out the light of the decision. At that instant startled and moved many to tears. The stunning update from the Ella courthouses, located all throughout the United States overnight, creating a commotion and general consensus. He is widely recognized as beloved by countless individuals, but currently, his standing in the industry is being threatened. The greatest test they have ever faced is the idea that someone once can be thought of as an expert in this area successfully navigate this oral score storm. The man who had feelings for Cesar Milan, well known to millions as the dog whisperer, did not suppress his sobs upon hearing the news, the ultimate decision during a contentious trial. That split second put the whole courtroom on pause. While out in the open, a surge of popular sentiment suddenly burst into a deluge of inquiries regarding fairness and its foundation in reality. Once thought to be a potential salvation for households that lacked the authority to manage by bringing new life to their beloved dogs, Milan numerous canines deemed irretrievable, facilitating harmony and unity for numerous residential areas. He altered the trajectory of dogs, but it also moved others to tears when it worldwide. Millions of people who adore animals, entire planet. Making use of specialized training techniques, unusual serenity and poise, he revealed creatures to have another opportunity seemed to have completely given up. Lots of people admirers. Milan is a master in his field, and serving as a wellspring of ideas. Dear Jennifer, the 56-year-old Anderson claimed that despite her mom has dementia, and she was still identified his comforting low voice, the airing of the program. He was seen by them as served as both a dog trainer and a friend, a representation of recovery. However, the path to Milan has never been smooth. The questions were raised approximately 1 year ago, at first as a regular administrative verify, but it eventually caused major charges pertaining to the budget and his center's worldwide activities. The case got more intricate and extended, causing his well-known portrayal to become the focus of debate. Regardless, Milan has always acknowledged guilt. It was claimed that every single one of the facility's canine residents get only the most stringent attention norms, and on top of that, he has never anything that could hurt the animals he owns, committed his entire life to giving protection. His view is that the unhappy occurrences involving canines exhibited significant health issues that were imposed on the euthanasia registry prior to reaching in the midst. The life of Cesar Milan is just one about a well-known dog trainer, but moreover, the stormy path that a guy takes taking on the most formidable obstacle of his life. When will we find out what happened? Can an iconic figure adored by countless individuals conquer the public's negative perceptions in order to carry with his duties? All options are available, concerns, and the general public's attention are perusing his upcoming oral score, the next stage. In the past, Dr. Maria Rodriguez, a oncologist with the Milan Foundation, her voice drowned out the courtroom's testimony. Milan, the dog she mentioned, had received those who were tortured, deprived of food, and compelled to take part in violent battles for the death. A lot of them had wounds that would certainly never recover, emotionally and physically. Their memory, however, lingered in Milan, living things. The lives that were taken did not merit deserving of love, who needed a second chance, and with full awareness of the dangers, he was more than happy to welcome them with open arms, since he was unable to resist people in a state of extreme desperation, the eyes. In the midst of numerous charges, Milan's name is surrounded by a heartfelt "Ewa." Mainstream media failed to cover the story media. He wasn't the only one who had to save rescuing a whole family from deadly and unspeakable catastrophe. Dear Sarah Thompson, a primary school educator in her 58th year of Colorado, showed up to court with a quivering lips and crimson eyes. She did describe what happened in October of last year. A day that started with a spark of optimism culminating in a miraculous outcome for her loved ones will always remember. As of that day, accompanied Bear, the Rottweiler owned by her daughter Amalgam, to the Milanese training facility as a desperately trying to avoid having to choose the painful choice. Bear had served as Thompson's sole beacon of hope. Daughter Emma's post-wedding life passed away abruptly in a vehicle collision. A canine served as more than just a friend. Heffeth-based assistance that facilitated her attain during the gloomiest times. Yet, as he matured, he aged. Bear started to act a bit more complete chaos. His illogical outburst and incidents involving dogs and strangers caused the family to become quite anxious. Despite consulting with a number of experts exploring many approaches, even treatment, things were not raised the quality of. Following Bear's assault on a delivery gentleman, he was bestowed with infirm demand. His actions may have better. Euthanasia would be an option for Bear. For to be honest with you, Emma, the danger of death of a canine companion, the possibility of failing offering final solace during a distressing ordeal life. Her family's desperate situation led them tuned to Milan, whom they thought to be their final chance. At that point onwards, everything started to change. Mrs. Thompson, in her last-ditch effort, chose to communicate with Cesar through letter the Milan show, hesitating to dream of a response. Be that as it may, the shock arrived upon receiving a call from his squad announcing that they were planning to film a scene at her residence, a unique presentation. On a crisp fall day, early in the day, Milan arrived at the Johnsons' house on the hill, to begin with while paying great attention to bear keen awareness of the dog's movements. But out of nowhere, he went silent and inquired of Emma in a composed manner, "Have you been experiencing headaches as of late?" The family was taken aback by the question. Following this, he went on to ask, "How does the house feel? Hotter than most days?" Fearfully, Emma reported that they were involved in recent headaches, but they declined treatment, a burden to carry. Milan gave a subtle head nod, just a little, and proposed starting there to flow through the opening. He proceeded to discreetly escorted Mrs. Thompson to another room and said in a low voice, "I believe your family is who are exposed to carbon monoxide toxicity." Initially, Mrs. Thompson was taken aback by the news. However, after Milan clarified that bear's muscle fatigue, flushes, headaches, and changes in behavior may indicate the presence of poisonous fumes around the home, she started to be concerned. Without delay, Milan gave the order to a assignee to contact emergency services while carrying on with Bear's task as if training was proceeding according to schedule. When the fire brigade finally showed up, and the test's shocking findings stunned the loved ones. A major issue with the heating system: carbon monoxide was released from the system in every room of the house. At that point, a fireman warned the relatives that remaining on an alternate evening, they would presumably do not awaken. In cases where the defense lawyer inquired as to Mrs. Thompson's assurance that it was Milan, the one who saw the threat first, her response was forceful. In cases where upon their arrival the paramedics inquired as to who became aware of the signs, and it was Cicero, who claimed to have witnessed a comparable scenario in which a dog that has previously been violent without obvious cause. Milan did more than only warn about the toxicity gas. Following the event, he persisted in track the well-being of the Thompson family for months, and that's just to make sure they were complete recovery, while simultaneously ensuring the changes in his life could be manageable for Bear. At the time, Bear was unaffected by the deadly gas after a while. His conduct shifted over time, and his aggressiveness that had been present vanished. In the wake of, as a result of Milan's meticulous instruction, Bear service animal visiting Mrs. Thompson's classroom, supporting pupils who had challenges, analyzing and making sense of feelings. In-room, Mrs. Thompson stared directly at the panel of judges. She struggled to speak due to tears. Cesar Milan spared more than just Bear. My daughter was spared by him, me grandchild, and myself. As a male, you contemplating incarceration was an individual who saw a threat that may compromise. Doctors failed to notice during regular examinations, and he strolled along serenely, unruffled, in search of praise. Yes, that is Cesar Milan is Trulius. The atmosphere in her testimony, the weight of the arena. Quite simply, it was a narrative involving a canine behaviorist, however, concerning empathy, concerning a guy who consistently risked human and animal lives at the beginning. However, will the law ultimately favor him? The solution will become clear when the verdict has been handed down. Oral score. A pivotal point throughout the trial was when 62-year-old Gloria Sanchez, mother of a kindergarten class in 3, proudly stood up and recounted the tale of how her son's life was transformed by Cesar Milan. She was so distraught that her voice quivered, and as she recounted the tale, the jury room dissolved stillness as Milan fought to keep back the tears. David, my son, was a joyful young man, but that alteration occurred when he was assaulted by a 4-year-old neighbor's dog, tears welling up in Sanchez's eyes, he swore. Wounds on the body healed, but terror lingered, persisted throughout. Dogs terrified David, permeated his being, maturing into informative experience in his life. If he didn't visit the park instead of visiting friends, dwellings where canines might be found, and he went into a state of profound terror any time he happened upon a street dog. He became isolated due to his dread, which ultimately to major depressive disorder and anxiety. They tried a wide range of treatment to cutting-edge procedures. However, our hero David was unable to recover his passion for living. The following evening, as their loved ones were engrossed in the Cesar Milan show, something regarding his interpersonal style when working with canines, kind, calm, and David was enlightened. After all these years, he finally failed to duck your head in terror. He had a strong desire to find out the reasons behind the behavior of dogs, Garcia remembers. A ray of optimism, she chose to get in touch with Milan's training center. The answer was unexpected, although something miraculous occurred. Roma Cesar personally contacted David and extended an invitation to his farm. In the span of 7 days, Milan met David and spent time with him, pleasant, kind canines. He took his time to him, without pressuring him, but kindly brought him into contact with companions on 4 legs, in a manner that none else performed previously. During a certain afternoon, Milan took a seat beside David and uttered everything that the young man would never forget. Honesty and dignity are not based on fear, has no dread. As soon as you grasp the change, you're out of the afraid. Those remarks had a profound impact on David, all the time. As he stepped foot in the striding fearfully across the farm upon a fresh sense of direction and enthusiasm. Currently, David Sanchez is unable to conquer the trauma he had as a child, but maybe even get into veterinary technology. It was as fully committed to assisting others' traumatic experiences in youngsters by means of treatment, maintaining the excellent job that was Cesar Milan. As she faced Theon trial, Gloria Sanchez reached a verdict in her account conveying a sentimental message. Cesar Milan's assistance extended beyond my son, face his fears head on, an entirely new life, a potential future that seemed out of reach have. I implore you, spare him. It is there he is desperately needed by numerous households. Same amount that we did. The space collapsed into a lack of expression on an emotional level. Everything about this is narrative involving a canine behaviorist, however. It concerns a guy who devoted his entire life to supporting the existence of all living things, including humans and animals. Discover shines a light on the shadows. Cesar Milan possesses exceptional canine talent. Moreover, as a trainer, he has altered individuals' life, guiding them towards the appropriate life's trajectory. A top choice among noteworthy instances of this is the powerful account of Angela Martinez's journey, a mother of one, 54 years old. Her singing fearfully stood before the judge, recounting the tale of Cesar Milan's rescuing his son from a perilous road, canine member of the clan. My son was the catalyst for it all, Martinez announced Miguel's 16th birthday with tears in her eyes, all thought tears streaming down her face. His dad have long since left us, and that my son's wrath eroded with time. It was began spending more time away from in the company of gang members, and each day, the time passed, and our gap widened. For what it was once just a casual discussion, escalated into confrontations and door slamming. During this difficult time for the family, another German Shepherd named Rex started to change. In response, he became belligerent, brutally at everyone who dared to approach him, went so far as to harm a neighbor's little one. There was a command from animal control. Either euthanize Rex or get him to behave better. Dangerously close to giving up his only one, who had one remaining buddy, was in a state of extreme desperation. When Cesar Milan was found to be holding a congress on canine behavior in town, but the cost of admission was too high, their resources, it was Miguel's decision to go. That being said, avoiding session with the pursuit of a romantic encounter, he thought about his final bit of light. And then something miraculous occurred. Cesar Milan beheld Miguel's departure, Martinez said, asserted, her voice gaining momentum with fresh confidence. Rather of merely signing a knot before pausing to sign and proceed, met my son's gaze and inquired, "Why don't you step inside?" It was when Miguel to truth came out that our family was unable to pay. Cesar did anything in order to attend extraordinary. As part of their invitational, Miguel is eligible to attend the session at no cost. Upon listening to the complete visiting Rex's house, he extended an invitation to assist him the following day, and that everything changed on Sunday afternoon. The education encompassed far more than merely aiding Rex in making behavioral improvements. Cesar was collaborated with Rex for a long time, in addition to discussing with Miguel duty, self-control, and the potential influence of optimistic energy. Martinez remembers seeing her irate son, heartless youth, who paid attention to Milan's emphasis on the word, like never before. Of all significant moment occurred when Cesar gazed squarely on Miguel's face and exclaimed, "Your dog shows how energetic you are. At the time you're upset with the world and he thinks you're as a result, he must shield you from harm. However, when you maintain composure, he feels protected and at ease." The words used hit home for Miguel. Due to Rex's actions progressed, Miguel started to evolve as very well. Ahead of schedule, he rose and followed the habits instilled in him by Milan. He went back to school, he saw an uptick in his grades, and most significantly, he started to disregard the detrimental forces that had prompted him lead me astray. Dazzled by despite Miguel's best attempts, Cesar extended a unique chance to work during the summer at his psychological clinic for dogs. Moreover, things altered life of Miguel indefinitely. 10 years ago today subsequent times, Miguel is not just a powerful person, but he has also established a program for the rehabilitation of abandoned dogs. These canines are now valuable assets to people in danger kids who were once in Miguel's shoes on his own. With that, Miss Martinez ended her bearing witness with these moving remarks. Numerous families make up our neighborhood that has been impacted by my kid's job with canines. Not to mention my youngster never would have discovered that route without Mario Vargas. Instead of merely rehabilitating, people were rehabilitated by him, not dogs. Give careful consideration to your choice concerning him, as there is an abundance here on earth who are in need who he was. Alienation swept over the courtroom. You are not only an account of a canine trainer. It deals with the impact on people's lives caused by tolerance, comprehension, and the holding the view that nobody is redemption. An important turning point in the trial began. The defense contacted the 72-year-old Martha Winters from to the stand in rural Tennessee. Regardless of due to her deteriorating health, she had gone more than 1,000 miles to share a narrative that had never been informed previously, an account that might alter the manner in which the courtroom visited the actual Milanese Cesar. Anna Dymius Winters started to tell her tale, recounting the modest existence she leads in a tiny treehouse in the Great Smoky Mountains. Following in her footsteps, following her husband's death, she made the decision to remain alone, disregarding her children's counsel. With the exception of her 3 canines in need of rescue, Bella, Max, and Cooper. It's more than a pet, she declared. Her love glistens in their eyes. I love them. One evening in the month of February 2019 when an intense blizzard traversed the while Winters sat at her home viewing a Cesar Milan performance when outage occurred without warning. The night swiftly dropped. How hot it is plunged to an alarmingly low level, and she came to the realization, unfortunately her generator was inoperable due to the thick snow, and then, out of the blue, took place. She found out that a vehicle had went off the road and became caught in right outside her driveway. Not much Cesar knew. The vehicle was truly the city of Milan. The tempest had swept him away throughout his journey to a class. Looking at a vulnerable elderly woman frightened by the chill, quickly, Milan took action. His assistance was crucial to her navigate the thick snow, leading her 3 canines in tow, and discovered a means to build a haven out of her dilapidated barn. In light of dim illumination cast by a little fire within Thesey nighttime air, Milan isn't just shielded her, but shifted the burdensome adversity into an opportunity for growth. It was built a wall out of hay to obstruct the 3 canines in close proximity to the wind season to stay warm. However, the thing that held her the tales he told kept him up at night told. He recounted his troubled upbringing. On his time in Mexico, including the days meandering over the boundary with nothing, regarding his shortcomings and unrealized aspirations. Then it hit me. He wasn't merely sharing a tale with me. He was attempting him to keep me alert, since he was aware that if I slept through the chill, I may never have stopped snorting, Winters recalled. Milos departed from the hiding place as soon as daybreak arrived, traversing for about 2 hours in search of a rescue signal. Upon the arrival of the dispatchers, they were quick to acknowledge the gravity in the midst of winter's cold. Rescuers reported that are affected by her absence of her 3, she would not risk dogs, and a tiny fire just made it through the night. Their statement was, they are younger and in better health than I am, might have perished in considerably less dangerous conditions. The most astounding thing was Milan's take on all that happened. It was spared no praise and refrained from boasting about what he did. Upon the attorney's request, regarding the matter at hand, he distinctly forgot "Hi there. I am." Winter softly grinned. His only claim to be the woman accompanied by 3 beautiful dogs. You could say that was Cesar, the city of Milan. He felt he had accomplished nothing exceptional, worthy of praise. He merely took action to rescue the people of humans and 3 devoted canines. During the winter, narrative captivated the audience in the courtroom, and Cesar was also depicted accurately in the painting. Not only that, but Milan was a man who grasped creatures, as well as empathy, duty, and selfless giving. Oral score. Despite the testimony of numerous eyewitnesses telling heartwarming tales of it, there was no animal that Milan couldn't aid. In the end, the jury found the defendant guilty. Decision regarding the most grave accusations. Following Judge Raymond Morris's proclamation of the sentencing, the judge's bench was stunned. People gasped, and many couldn't think the news they had just heard was true. Additionally, this is when Cesar Milan, who'd remained calm finally collapsed during the trial. A guy well known for maintaining his poise and dignity while in every circumstance, his with trembling hands as he removed inconsolable sobs. Participants who testified as witnesses reported that this was their first had met with Milan, a specialist in animal behavior, renowned for his poise and self-assurance, grovel in the midst of a severe emotion. His voice quivered as he said his last remarks before being led away from the judge's bench. I merely wished to lend aul. I was hoping to strike a balance. My goal was to rescue strays, the forlorn, the overlooked. The lesson I wanted to impart was that with perseverance, competent guidance, our broken relationships can be mended. Assuming I was unsuccessful, if I messed up somewhere, I am more than happy to shoulder the charge. However, the soul has remained rooted in original goal. Milan turned before he departed, observed individuals who had consistently accompanied him and communicated with him. That made a lot of people cry. Be cautious with the canines. Keep them from arguing about a beat. Love them as you teach them, with patience. Stand firm in your convictions. Constantly keep in mind, serenity drive, harmony in the energy field, the keys to dogs and to life itself. No matter what happens, I am as relinquished control. Such statements were in a way that hurts everyone's feelings. Hand in the chamber. A few individuals from the tears were shed by the jury. Beyond the hundreds of people flocked to the courthouse on the backs of their canines while toting banners, sentimental writings. But who will save the flimsy canines? Cesar rescued me from loved ones. The decision shocked not just the pet-owning populace, but also profoundly taken many grandmas by surprise too, whom Milan was more than simply a dog trainer, although it can serve as a source of motivation. They saw him as emblem of stability, serenity, and a leader's craft. Priorities that well beyond the scope of typical pet training, yet it seeped into every household and everyday occurrence. The day that Cesar Milan exited the courtroom, he had a burdensome sentence, but it also left a profound nothingness and a mystery left unsolved. To whom shall carry on the journey he has committed, devoted his life to oral score trying to achieve? Deborah Williams, 67, a grandma of 5, is still not there, sentences handed down by Cesar Milan. For her, he was something beyond a canine, expert in training. She considered him a lifechair, loved ones. Remembering the challenging moments after taking in a stray puppy, she was hostile and vulnerable to episodes of panic. With a heavy voice, Williams spoke. He show me the way to lovingly establish limits, how to maintain composure in the face of utter mayhem, as well as the impression you make affect the people in your immediate vicinity. Along with that, which aid in the modification of my dog's conduct, it also improved my grandmaing abilities to had grandkids. Williams wasn't the one in favor of her. Among the thousands, she was to whom Milan sent letters while he was in prison, collecting funds for his appeal to a higher court. Not only that, the letters a token of compassion, together with affirmation that fairness would ensue served. We were given hope during a moment when a number of us were prepared to abandon our troublesome dogs. We will not part with her voice rising above his. Dear Elizabeth, from Seattle, 59-year-old Morgan flew in solely to show up during the sentencing process. Beside her, Max, a German shepherd, was her devoted service dog, a shepherd who was considered to be too combative towards recover from. However, all through listening, Max sat serenely by his side, proprietor, an enduring evidence of how well Milan's techniques work. I was a complete mess before Max came along. Limited to staying at home, reason being post-traumatic stress disorder, Morgan stated. Maximus felt in the category of forceful euthanasia conduct, leading up to the use of Caesar's procedures, afforded him an opportunity. Max is now able to early warning symptoms of panic attacks. When they do, it facilitates my mobility in public, and above all else, it has bestowed upon me my return to one's existence. It's not just Morgan's story. Like Max, there are countless canines. Awa is liked by thousands of people. Those involved can take heart from Cesar Milan's empathy, tolerance, and individuality approach to suit their needs, rather than merely impart obedience to canines. Presented with the opportunity for animals and to oral score people. In spite of the severe punishment, as of now, Cesar Milan's legal crew is unwavering in their conviction that the we will prevail in the appeals process. They've highlighted the importance of anomalies that they anticipate lay the groundwork for, and provide support for, cast doubt on the verdict, while simultaneously cast doubt on the harshness of the punishment. A nonviolent charge resulting in a life sentence which centers on the instruction of animals unparalleled and wholly exorbitant, remarked Rebecca. The principal counsel for Milan is Martinez. When we've faith in Mr. Milan's modesty, particularly when it comes to the most grave accusations, and we are certain that it will be observed by the Court of Appeals, clear mistakes in the trial's legal reasoning. Within the confines of the prison, Milan's soul continues unfaltering. In a heartfelt letter recuperated by his loved ones, he shared his overwhelming appreciation to everyone who has backed him up. You could say that my physique is confined, but my soul is never locked up. Hundreds of emails reach me daily, tales recounting the impact on people's lives of canines rescued as a result of the values I have the good fortune to impart. This is those tales that rank among the most inspiration that keeps me going after my goal. This project does not pertaining to canine training. The topic is embracing new ideas, expanding our souls, and welcoming animals into our houses in require affection. We need to keep going with that. In my presence or absent, as there are thousands of canines in need of help. While incarcerated, Cesar Milan is an individual confined. However, on the outside, he represents a life philosophy. Relaxed, unwavering, and compassionate. Numerous individuals he continues to face challenges. Considering the guy, nonetheless in pursuit of his principles, he committed his life into construction. Methods that have provided solace to innumerable households and offering a fresh start to countless stray dogs. The legacy of Cesar Milan lives on rapidly expanded in a manner reminiscent of the way he decided to go. Feelings of being moved, Cesar Milan's creations have brought forth the "let's have a say now." We can demonstrate him and his immense influence on the globe had, and not simply on the several canines he bath on themselves and their loved ones who'd faith in the future because of the love and passion he sparked. The majority foremost, we have the ability to assist with his return, where he feels most at home, carrying on with his voyage to save those in desperate need. My sincere appreciation, thank you for tuning in. As always, your likes, shares, and you subscribe so that word of this